Hello and welcome to the NBA Finals Game 4 show. We have a lot to talk about. Heat Spurs. The Spurs lead 2-1 in the NBA Finals, and they will be at home at the AT&T Center for Game 4 and 5, and possibly, if there is a Game 6 and a Game 7, that will be in South Beach, Miami. So, a lot of you wanting to know what's going to go on today in the show. Again, we're previewing of Game 4. It's a pregame show. We have Chris Herring. He's a Wall Street Journal writer. He writes for the NBA, of course, and we will hear his thoughts. Recorded this interview yesterday with him. He had a lot of great thoughts. So, Wall Street Journal writer, he does so much for them, and he's actually in San Antonio right now. When we talked to him, he was in San Antonio as well. He even told us the vibe over there, so it was really great to hear his thoughts, and let's get it going. First things first, a lot of news about Tony Parker. Will he play today? What happened to him? Well, a right hamstring strain occurred Game 3 during the win. He had to leave early. Parker is day-to-day, but that he might be forced to sit out. It's a possibility. There is no tear, there is no defect, according to Parker, and he says that Parker says he has to be patient, so he hopefully wants to play. I mean, obviously he wants to play. Whether or not he will is the huge question mark. Again, he is not 100%. That could be the big key in this matchup today, which I believe it will be. So, again, Parker, right hamstring strain. I think right from the get-go, even if he does play heavy minutes and the minutes that he's accustomed to playing, they've got to be very smart about his minutes. But you've got to... this Spurs team, and look, I don't want to say it's okay to lose this game, but I would not, if I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan, player, coach, GM, whatever the case may be, I would not want to have Parker in there, win the game, but then he has a tear, or that he's not able to play the rest of the series. Now, then Miami would come back and win the whole thing. That would be really awful. Parker, he's got to be... It's going to be very hard for him to get in the middle of the lane tonight. And I think the Heat are going to win this game, personally. I think it's going to be very hard for Tony Parker to turn the corner on those pick and rolls and really get in the middle of the lane. I think it's going to be a struggle. You can't run any ISOs with him with any matchup issues because he is not 100%. It's going to be very hard to beat those matchups. Excuse me. I just feel as if Parker has a lot of pressure on him tonight, and it's just a little bit unfair. Ginobili is going to have to carry the load, but I don't know if Ginobili can really do that. He's been struggling throughout these playoffs, and I have to say, you're going to make him the creator, him the facilitator. Sometimes he just turns over the rock too much. He can get a little bit wild in regards to turnovers. He drives in the middle of the lane, doesn't, jump stop, or he may just try to lower his shoulder and put up some bad shots. I just, with Ginobili, I can't really trust him with the turnovers. And then Gary Neal is just a wiry dude who, I mean, Gary Neal, as good as he played, as great rather as he played last game, you put that ball in that guy's hands and I don't know where it's going to go. And Gary Neal can be a turnover machine at times. They're going to be in a real predicament, and LeBron James won't have to be chasing Parker as hard in a way, because Parker will be a little bit more limited in tonight's game. Now, not Parker, but the Miami Heat, LeBron James may be playing a different position. He may be playing center tonight. Yes, Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat coaching staff have considered moving Mike Miller into the starting lineup at forward. So, if you're going to have LeBron at the 4 or the 5 defensively guarding Tim Duncan, it's going to be look, a lot of people are saying this is going to be a bad matchup. I actually, personally, don't think this is that bad of a matchup. You know, if you have LeBron defending Duncan, he won't be losing energy over the course of the game in a sense where chasing around Parker. Duncan, you're just going to be in a post-up stationary spot for the most part. So that's the positive about this situation. Also, you can, when you're on offense, if Duncan is guarding you in the post, then I don't know what the defensive issue, or what the situation is going to be. But let's just say if Duncan is guarding LeBron, hey, all LeBron has to do is post up, catch the ball, then face up, rip through to the baseline, and try to go baseline to finish. That would be the best way to beat Duncan. You know you got the foot speed, so as attack his outside foot, because that will be his most weak position. The most weak foot would be the outside foot. So you attack that foot, go baseline, and you can finish and get opportunities there. Now, for LeBron offensively, if he is not, if he's going to be guarded by Leonard again tonight, and they're going under screens, he can't hesitate. He's just got to fire away. And he's got a good jump shot. People say, oh, LeBron's a below-average shooter. You hear, Skip Bayless say that. No, LeBron James can shoot at a high rate. We know that. Just, if he comes under the screen, don't hesitate. Be calm, get into your shooting motion, and don't worry, fire away. That's all I can say. Because even if LeBron just starts making 2, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, 5 in a row, then all of a sudden Leonard will creep up. Leonard will guard tightly. Then LeBron can use the driving lanes and beat Leonard and force that Spurs defense to collapse, and that's where he can find shooters, and that's where he can attack the bucket, beating Leonard off the dribble. They can't do that only if LeBron misses jumpers. Then it won't work. But if LeBron doesn't hesitate, says it comes onto the screen, is on balance, no off-balance shots, 1, 2, go, shooting motion, all good, then he'll be fine. But if he starts hesitating and the motion starts to get bad with the shooting, then the Spurs will have more opportunities on the fast break, and they'll be bailed out on possessions. That's basically what happened last game, daring LeBron to shoot, then they get bailed out on those possessions. Also, Wade, Bosch really need to step it up offensively. And you know what, Bosch, I'm actually impressed with what he's done. Wade, not at all. He's really unhealthy. Defensive rotations have been awful for Wade. And then Wade's inability they're daring him to shoot perimeter jumpers as well. I'd rather want LeBron shooting those perimeter jumpers than Wade. Wade can't make those perimeter jump shots. LeBron can. Just that simple. What Wade needs to do, because they're not going to he's not going to find lanes. He's got to post up. They got to hit Wade in the post. That's where he can go to work, spin baseline, get finishes, spin middle, kick out to shooters. He's got to start his offensive prowess in the post. He cannot face up and try to, lower his shoulder, pell-mell down the lane, throw up some terrible layup that is really off balance, zero angle, just horrible. You can't do that in the NBA Finals at all. That's what Wade has been doing. Bad shots by Wade. Not high percentage looks. He needs to start in the post. They need to feed it to him early in the post. That's where he can create. LeBron and Wade both need to facilitate at a high rate today, because that paint's going to be locked in. If they get in the paint, they got to kick it out quick. If they get in the paint, that's the heart of the Spurs defense. When the Spurs swarm and collapse, they've got to be able to move the ball laterally, move the ball on the perimeter, make the extra pass, make the extra cut, force this Spurs defense to be scrambling, because then you'll win this ball game. Bosch, on the other hand, he's done a solid job. He just needs to find his spots. No threes, Bosch. Just hit your 15-footer, hit your 18-footer, and face up when you catch. Pump. You did this. Bosch does this. Pump fake, drive, jab step, shot, jab step, drive. Do those type of things, or those offensive moves rather, to get success. You're not going to be able, Bosch, to just be shooting threes, shooting 20-footers, fadeaway 20-footers. That's not good offense. That will ruin the flow of the offense. Bosch will be a key contributor by stretching the floor from 15 to 18 feet out. And then when they start creeping up, then you drive. That's what Bosch needs to distinguish here today in tonight's game at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time in San Antonio. In San Antonio. You guys, please be very interactive. Tweet me at SM_Cameron, or you can comment, click the green bubble like John Gonzalez did that other day. Click the green bubble on the right side of your screen and then comment. Go ahead, fire away, say anything you want. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back talking about more Spurs, more Heat. We'll get the interview with Chris Herring. I'll even let you call into the show, 949-456-2911. So a lot to talk about here today on Spreaker.com, and I want to hear your thoughts as well. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. Game 4 in San Antonio at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time, 9 Eastern Standard Time. At the AT&T Center, Game 4, Spurs lead 2-1. So, please comment, please be interactive. I want to hear your thoughts as well. This series, again, we talked about, with Chris. You know what? I'll wait. I'll let you hear everything about Chris. But a portion of what we talked about was the rebounding. And he mentioned Kawhi Leonard as the key. And I again, agree I mean, Chris Herring is one of the best guests. You'll hear in 15 minutes. You don't want to miss this interview. I can guarantee you that. Chris, one of the best guests we've ever had on this program. Period. What he mentioned with Leonard is that the rebounding is not just Duncan and Splitter. I only mentioned Duncan and Splitter. What he said was that Kawhi Leonard crashing the boards offensively and defensively, he's beating the Miami Heat perimeter rebounding. And what this reminds me of a little bit is Lance Stevenson. Remember how many rebounds Lance Stevenson of the Indiana Pacers got in the Eastern Conference Finals? Lance Stevenson was hauling in double-digit rebounds game in and game out. There were a few games where he didn't, which was really surprising, but game in and game out, he was crashing the boards, going to get the rebounds necessary off the perimeter. Because those long rebounds, those threes, as we know, long rebounds for the San Antonio Spurs have been huge. Okay? And this all ties together to LeBron in a way. Because LeBron, when you lay off and you force him to shoot those perimeter jump shots, and if he misses those will create long rebounds, which will help with the fast break game. And the recipient of those rebounds and the guy who will start the break is not necessarily Tony Parker, not necessarily Danny Green, because they're not crashing the boards. It's Kawhi Leonard. Because Leonard is getting those long rebounds, and he needs to push it up the floor quickly. If they do that, force LeBron to shoot. If LeBron has one of those really off nights, and they get a ton of defensive long rebounds, Kawhi needs to start the break quickly. Because they need to make it 3-on-1, 2-on-1, 4-on-2, 5-on-3 break. Those will really get the Spurs easy buckets and will make Miami in a big hole and a big deficit throughout this entire game. And in turn, the Miami Heat will lose the basketball game because of San Antonio's ability to run on the fast break. So, it's a little bit, in my opinion, it's a little bit, with the rebounding, it's a huge issue. Not a little issue, a huge issue with the Miami Heat. If they cannot rebound at a high rate, they gotta keep it close. 52-36 isn't close. That ratio plus 16 in rebounding for San Antonio, oh, really bad. Really, really bad. So, again, they can't put themselves in that predicament again. And if they do, and if they turn it over, and it's going to be another loss. And I know I'm saying "and" a lot, but I have to just add on further that if Miami loses this game, they're not winning this series. You give the Spurs a commanding 3-1 lead. They're too experienced, and just the quality of play has almost zero flaws. I mean, you gotta play the perfect game against the San Antonio Spurs in order to win. Voice crack on the show. In order to win. So, again, Miami's going to struggle, but I'm going to say they're going to win this basketball game today. I'm going to go 95-90 Heat. 95-90 Heat. And LeBron James, I think, will have a triple-double. And I personally think a triple-double for LeBron James. He'll score 25 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. If I get this right, I think I'm going to be shocked if I get all this right. If this happens, I will be, that'll be out of my mind. No way, no how. 25, 10, and 10. He'll get either close to that or he will get that, in my opinion. 95, 90. And look, Parker, the injury. This, with Parker, if he can't get in the middle of the lane and collapse this Miami defense, because when Parker gets in the middle of the lane and distributes, that's when Miami's scrambling. And Miami struggled with closeouts. Even LeBron James is one of the greatest perimeter defenders ever to step his foot on a basketball court. Ever. One of the best perimeter defenders to ever put his foot on a basketball court. And he even struggled with closeouts. Dwayne Wade's a pretty good defender. He even struggled with closeouts. It's not hard to close out guys, but they struggled because San Antonio kept moving the ball left to right, right to left, left to right. After Miami was scrambling, Miami just kept scrambling because San Antonio moved the ball, made the extra pass. Miami just could not find a way to close them out. They got to run Green and Neal off the three-point line and force Green and Neal to be playmakers. You can't be giving guys spot-up shots that you shoot at a gym. Okay, look, NBA players can make spot-up threes. That's one of the biggest requirements in being a professional basketball player. Can you make the spot-up three? NBA players can't. If you can't run them off and force Bonner to be a playmaker, I mean, you got to force Bonner to put it on the deck. Even when Bonner's dribbling by himself, he loses the basketball. Okay, just force the guy to dribble. Force the guy to be a playmaker. And if he does, if Danny Green, Gary Neal, Kawhi Leonard, Matt Bonner, if they become crazy playmakers, all Miami can do is just shake their hand and say congratulations, because you guys are unstoppable. You guys are unstoppable. If your role players are becoming those special playmakers, hey, no one can stop them then. Then you're a true champion. I just think San Antonio will be run off the three-point line and they won't be able to make plays. Because it's going to be in Matt Bonner's hands with 8 seconds left on the shot clock. He's got to drive and kick. He can't do that in a good amount of time. Neal will turn it over after he gets run off the three-point line. Danny Green, he's a pretty good playmaker, but not the ultimate playmaker in that situation. You got Leonard. He won't command the defense to follow him all the way so he can find another shooter. They're going to struggle if they get run off the three-point line. That will be the biggest key. If they don't, easy victory. If they don't get run off the three-point line, San Antonio is going to win this game. 16 for 32. I will not forget that in this series. 16 for 32 from the three-point line. And some people say that was lucky, fluky. No. Spot-up jumpers because of ball movement. Point blank. Point blank. Very, very simple. Let's take one more break, and when we come back, we will have the interview with Chris Herring of the Wall Street Journal. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Back here, National Sports, pregame show, Game 4. Comment or call 949-456-2911, 949-456-2911, or tweet me at SM_Karen, or you can just comment like John Gonzalez did the other day on the comment board. Okay, so the interview. Chris Herring, the much anticipated interview with Chris Herring. Here it is. Let's take a listen.
Joining us right now is a very special guest. He writes for the Wall Street Journal. He's done a great job over there. You can also follow him on Twitter at HerringWSG. He does a great job also there too on Twitter. And he's here joining us on the program. How are you doing, Chris? And what is the vibe right now in San Antonio, in that remote area near AT&T Center?
Interesting. Yesterday, you would have thought that San Antonio had won a title yesterday with how much they were celebrating. Really funny night that we saw kids, literally kids dancing in diapers on top of pickup trucks. It's a fun atmosphere here, but it was pretty rainy here today, so not as many folks were outside. I think everyone's really looking forward to Game 4, just seeing, obviously, Spurs could come pretty close to putting the series away tomorrow if they can win. So, just a lot of anticipation building up, and obviously, folks are looking forward to seeing how the Heat respond after such an ugly loss in Game 3.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they have that opportunity to take that commanding 3-1 lead at home, and then possibly, I mean, I'd be really surprised if they can close it out at home, but that's another topic for another time. I want to get to what happened in Game 3 that's going to possibly, I mean, it could happen in Game 4. 16 for 32 beyond the three-point land. You even mentioned in your article it was San Antonio textbook ball movement. I totally agree with that. Some people say it was just a lucky shooting night. Some people say Gary Neal and Danny Green were hitting tough shots. But in my opinion, NBA players can hit spot-up jumpers. I think you would agree with that. And to me, I'm really concerned with Miami's defense because you got to run them off the three-point line and force Neal and Green to put it on the deck and see what they can do by going in the lane. I don't think Miami really did that by running them off the three-point line. Instead, they got too many spot-up jumpers. What did you see yesterday that either concerned you from Miami's part, or was it more of an impressive Spurs offensive ball movement type of offense yesterday?
Well, this was both. Here's why I'll say that. I think it's unusual, even if people are wide open. And like you said, guys can hit spot up three. And at times it literally did look like it was just warm-ups for Danny Green, especially after he was coming off such a great game before that. He shot 6 for 6 last time for 3 in Game 2, so you obviously knew you could leave him open. But with that said, it still continued to happen. You got open look. And what eventually started happening
mentioned the rebounding, and I want to get to that again. It was just crazy. Let me just tell you this: 52 to 36. I know you probably already know, but for those who don't know, 52 to 36 rebounding differential favoring San Antonio, and a lot of people are saying, well, it's size, it's Duncan and Splitter, but I've seen teams, and I know this has been Miami's Achilles heel, but I've seen teams who have been smaller in years past who are able to position well, because rebounding, it's just basic body positioning. If you can do that, keep it below the rim. Rebounding, typically, either in the lower levels, you're talking about AAU, high school, college, and even sometimes in the pros, it's not necessarily above the rim rebounds. It's below the rim body positioning. Do you think Miami, I know this is silly, but should they get back to the basics of box outs, or is this just size and that Duncan and Splitter are just going to have a ton of opportunities on the glass this series?
That's not even what I see as. I mean, it's a good question. I don't think the size and the issue probably helps the Spurs somewhat. But, when I look at the domination on the glass, I'm looking first and foremost at Kawhi Leonard and how impressive he's been and how rebounding LeBron James for the last two games. Obviously, LeBron had 18 rebounds in game one, but Kawhi Leonard repeatedly yesterday was every time was right where the ball was on rebound. I think he had at least 2 or 3 possessions I can remember off the top of my head where he grabbed more than one rebound on offensive rebound on a possession, and that's just something that you can't have if you're Miami. It's one thing to not grab your own misses and not be able to get second chance points. It's a completely separate issue when you're not able to grab defensive rebounds, and as a result, you're giving the team that you're playing offensive rebound opportunities. And the Spurs, I mean, that's just deadly. I don't know if you saw the press conference after game one where Miami lost, but LeBron James made a comment that was really funny. I can't remember what the numbers were, but I think it was something like the Spurs had 6 or 7 offensive rebounds and had 24 points, some 24 second chance points. And LeBron's like, well, I'm not that great at that, but even if you got a 3 after each one of those second chance plays or rebound, there's no way you can have that many points. And there's a stat called team rebounding, where it counts rebounds that 2 players might have grabbed at the same time or shared. And so that's where that came from. But the main point is that the Spurs are just so efficient on offense, especially on a night like yesterday where they're just in a ridiculous group. You can't allow them to have second shots, especially on offensive rebounds where Miami was probably already out of position because they made an effort to get a rebound, and the Spurs have you on your heels because you're out of position. You can kick the ball out to Danny Green, you can pump fake, or you can find someone else along the perimeter. It's just a nightmare for Miami when they don't get defensive rebounds, and they're very susceptible to that. I wrote a story about this before the series started about how poor both of these teams were rebounding basketball, but Miami has struggled with it all year, and their quest to kind of dominate teams through small ball, and that's why it's so critical for them to knock down shots on offense, because when they're not doing it, there is no payoff to having small ball anymore. They're getting killed on the rebound, and when they're not getting the kind of offense that they usually get from it, there's just literally no payoff from the type of style that they're playing.
Exactly, and Parker, I want to switch gears to Parker. Left the game early, injured. A lot of people saying this could be the key turning point in the series. If Parker's not 100%, this could be Miami series. It could possibly win the next 2 games and take over the series. With Parker hobbled, do the Spurs still, and they miss that, they're going to miss that dynamic a lot with getting in the lane, creating for others. Do you think that even without Parker, they can still carry the offensive load and pick it up for maybe some of his absence on offense over the course of the game?
throughout the series, and he's a great scorer, providing a huge spark. But he's not exactly Greg Popovich's type of player. And what I mean by that is that he's not incredibly careful with the ball. He has a very quick trigger. He shoots the ball very quickly. Sometimes it looks like he shoots it before the offense really has gotten into the rhythm that it wants to get into early in the possession, early in the shot clock, maybe a 22-footer. And it kind of drives Greg Popovich's nuts. But they obviously need to spark. But when you have someone who changes roles in the playoff series, that's a big deal. The Bulls went through that with Miami and had Nate Robinson to step up. It works at times and it works for stretches, but it's not something that you want to do over a 2 or 3 game span if you don't have to. So it obviously changes their personnel a little bit if Tony Parker's not able to play in such a sense as he normally would. But all that said, maybe it opens a little bit of a door for Miami and helps them out. But one thing to keep in mind, there's been so much focus on how bad Miami's big three has been in the series and how little they've done production-wise. But the bigger thing to me, and part of the reason I think Spurs have a real stranglehold on this series in some sense, is that their big three hasn't played particularly well either. And that includes Tony Parker, who was hurt yesterday. I think he scored 6 points. Tony Parker does not have a good game 2 after a really brilliant game 1. And Tim Duncan really is not playing all that well in this series either. So, Manu Ginobili got it going a little bit yesterday with some fast breakdowns and stuff. That their core has not played well. You could argue that they've only played slightly better than Miami's big three. So it's probably not. It probably isn't fair to say that the Spurs without him couldn't win because they've been doing so well without him really producing at a high level. But I do think that if he's slowed down by that hamstring injury and he's not moving Miami's defense as much as he was able to in the first game, it obviously is a big impact on the rest of the series. It'll be interesting to see how he comes out and how close to 100% he is tomorrow.
Last thing, switching now to LeBron. Obviously, best talent on Miami. He, again, faced tons of criticism. Media member after media member ripping him over his offensive input in Game 3. Look, I've been the biggest LeBron defender, supporter. I think what this guy does on a nightly basis is more than scoring. I've even said the game of basketball is not all scoring. What he does offensively to make others better is truly incredible, and what he's been doing so far I think has been good offensively. I don't think he's done really anything bad. They've been daring him to shoot from the perimeter. They've been packing the paint. It's hard to drive through those gaps, and he doesn't want to force the issue and try to finish over 2 or 3 guys. That's not the type of game that LeBron likes to play because LeBron believes in good shot selection more than any other superstar in this league. So, again, I personally think LeBron offensively has done great. Others have ripped him. Where are you on this?
Maybe just over the course of this series.
Well, particularly last game and over the course of the series.
Okay. Well, first off, I agree with you, and I would take issue with anybody that suggests that he's not, easily the most complete player in the league, especially of the stars. If you want to look at defense, obviously, best perimeter defender in the league. When he decidedly takes the other team's best player, but offensively, it's just so complete. We saw it during the Indiana series in Game 3, where he just posted up at will. We saw what he was able to do in Game 1 of that series with the last second shot on Paul George, who took one false step and LeBron just made him pay for it. But he has so much ability, and it's literally been 2 or 3 times a game now throughout the series, throughout the playoffs, where he gets into the lane and he makes an unbelievable pass out to a corner that I don't think anyone else in the league can even make. Mid-air passes where he's got 3 people encircling him, but LeBron has the presence of mind and also the strength to literally throw a bullet to Mike Miller or Ray Allen in the corner. Sometimes, before anyone else can even see think there's a little bit of truth to both sides in terms of whether he should be more aggressive. I certainly understand why he's not driving the ball into the lane, but he's got to make something happen, especially if his jump shot is not falling. And yesterday was one of the worst he's had all postseason. You know, I think 2 for 14 outside the paint. He's got to make something else happen. He's too good a player, and he's too strong and too dominant, and can force the issue when he wants to. You know, you've got to make something happen, and you're not going to force San Antonio's defense to really move or to even guard you from out there unless you hit, I would think, 2 or 3 of those in a row to really start forcing them to creep up a little bit. And that wasn't going to happen. I mean, even if, you know, he had that one stretch at the end of the second quarter where he got it going a little bit, but you've got to knock those shots down consistently. I mean, put it this way, Mike Miller hit 5 threes yesterday, and pretty much all of them were open. And I don't think San Antonio was doing that on purpose, but with the exception of Miller and maybe Ray Allen, they weren't making it a priority to really step out and contest any of the shooters, and it was because they made a conscious effort and conscious decision to say, fine, we're going to let you shoot. We're not going to let LeBron drive into the lane and kick the ball out to people who are wide open. We're not going to let him get layups. We're not going to put it into the line. And that, you know, granted, LeBron had an off night even for him, you know, shooting the ball. But even if he was shooting the ball better, that was not a close game yesterday. And the Spurs will take that all day because it doesn't allow anyone else to get into the flow of anything either. If LeBron is shooting 19-foot jump shots, the Spurs will welcome that, you know, every game they play for LeBron and not be a catalyst for him to stand outside on the perimeter and have to think 2 to 3 seconds about should I take the shot or should I not. That's not an issue he's used to being given. There's an option he's used to being given. Normally you don't get many things because he's become such a good shooter, but being given that option is not something he's used to. And, you know, I think it kind of caused him problems. I think he got in his head a little bit. And I think he realizes he has to be more aggressive. He's got to be smart about it, like you said. But he has to be more aggressive for his team to have any shot because there aren't enough opportunities for him. You're not going to be a team shooting just from outside, just the tough mid-range jump shots. You can't win games like that against the team that's as efficient as the first time.
And on that note, I would like to thank you very much for coming on to the Hardwood with Cameron Sadeghi here. And please read his work, the Wall Street Journal. He's even written a recent article about Jason Kidd as a new head coach for the Brooklyn Nets, and that's been big news in the NBA world as well, which I think it's great for Brooklyn over there. But thank you very much, Chris, and we hope to see you down the line.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
So, really pleased to have Chris on. He did a lot. Really, I tried everything, did anything I could to get him on. He was really busy in San Antonio. He said he had to write an article over there, you know, at that time. I asked him yesterday morning, I said, this time, he said, I can't do it this time, and then he said, okay, I can do it. So, it's been, he mentioned very interesting points about LeBron. I mean, yes, I still, okay, he does have to force the issue in a way, but not go wild, okay? I think when you start going wild and taking bad percentage shots, that's the issue. But he may have to go out of the offense at times in order to get buckets, because sometimes the offense breaks down, you got to make a play, and I think he will today. I think LeBron will, again, 25, 10, and 10. That's what I'm predicting. 25, 10, and 10, 95, and 90 victory in San Antonio for the Miami Heat. Call me 949-456-2911. Tweet me at SM_Cameron, or comment on the green bubble click the green bubble, type away, say anything you want about the games. I want to hear your thoughts on the program. By the way, we just got word, or I didn't break the news or any, but it is official. Mike Miller is starting. Mike Miller will be replacing Udonis Haslem in the starting lineup for today's game. I think they need that change of pace. No disrespect to Udonis Haslem, but they need a little bit more offense. They need to stretch the floor a little more, and I think Mike Miller will be able to do that in today's game. And Spoelstra said that Miller's going to play the same minutes, except the quality of minutes. And I think what Spoelstra mentioned was huge. The quality of the minutes is the most important part with Miller. I think Miller has, throughout these playoffs, Miller has done everything he's possibly could in this series. He's done everything necessary for this team, and I have to say, Miami really has appreciated his contributions the regular season. But for the Miami Heat, and the San Antonio Spurs, the regular season isn't too much of a sweat. It's just a marathon for them. And all the Heat and the Spurs care about get good positioning in the playoffs, and we'll go far. I mean, they're not too concerned about the regular season except for injuries. Just make sure everyone's healthy. This has been overall a great matchup. This NBA Finals. It's been a great series. I really, really like this series. Probably one of the more wild series with the momentum swings, but it's right up there. It's right up there with the better series that we've seen over the course of when the NBA championship started. So, I mean, you go from the ABA, NBA, this is one of the better final series. I could go to Boston, LA, 2010, Boston, LA, 08, LA, Boston. I mean, LA, Boston, they've provided so much for us in the NBA world. I don't know why I'm going off on a tangent about that. I should just be sticking with this. But this could possibly be one of the best series ever. And LeBron James, some people are saying, LeBron is showing signs of the 07 NBA Finals. You heard guys saying that, media members saying that. I think that's absolutely crazy because the Miami Heat are a totally different team than the Cleveland Cavaliers were in 2007, and the situation and scenario is totally different between the two squads. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous for people to even mention those same comparisons in regards to LeBron James. So I think when people say that, it's kind of a little bit borderline crazy when people make those comparisons. Let's take one last time out, and then we'll be back to wrap up the program after these messages. Here, National Sports, Cameron Sadeghi, NBA Finals, Game 4, pregame show. Again, we are going to have many more shows during the summer, and next year we are getting more hosts. We have been adding more hosts, and the contributions here have been very, very good. Not just very, very good, but incredible, rather, because we did not expect to be doing this well at National Sports and here on this channel. So I've really appreciated being here and contributing here for National Sports. And I want to give you a little preview of what is to come here at National Sports and the quality of shows. And I just like putting this on for good, just like putting it on. I couldn't find a word there. I just like putting it on for your enjoyment, for your amusement, some of our hosts, and some memories that we've had here at National Sports. So, take a listen.
This is Sam Rosen, and I'm here with Sam's Situation. It's a great night to be here. It's Christmas night. Not many of you are going to be listening right now, but I do hope tomorrow morning you'll be on your computers and ready to hear my beautiful voice. Good afternoon and welcome to the corner. It's Chris's Corner here on Spreaker.com and National Sports Affiliate. I am your host, Chris Bester. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Geek Sports Talk.
Hello and welcome to Jason's Sports Show. I'm coming back from my long hiatus.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Thank you for making us part of your day. Now, the Rockets, what's very interesting to me is they're 14 and 12, which is a solid record. Actually, much better than I thought they would do. I didn't think Harden would really be a superstar.
Yeah, in my opinion, this has been one of the best off seasons in Major League Baseball history.
This Hawks team, you look at their talent, and I don't say, wow, this team is a Super Bowl contender. You know, they've got 15 Pro Bowlers. I mean, look at all this. No, but this team, I don't know if people take them for granted. I don't know what the case is, but they're comeback warriors.
You know, TCU, watching that game last night, TCU just looks like a team that can, in the very near future, contend for a Big 12 championship.
Billy Cutter, well, I think this was a good acquisition. This guy, I think we'll get it done more than David Akers. David Akers is 29 for 42 this season. That's horrible.
In my opinion here, I think even if they don't put David Akers on the bench and they keep Akers in, it kind of lowers his confidence as a football player. Akers, too, I mean, look, I know it's maybe a silly thing. I'm going really, technical here. But on the kickoff game, I have to say Akers is one of the toughest kickers in the NFL. People say, oh, yeah, who doesn't care about that? He's a pretty big guy, solid tackler, big kicker.
Give me a break. You know who could turn it on in the playoffs, Robert? Take a wild guess. Tim Tebow. Last year, he won a playoff game. Who could turn it on in the playoffs? Tim Tebow. Give me a break. Yeah, let's put in David Akers. Let's go with the guy that has missed more field goals this year than any other kicker. Well, wait a minute. No, we can keep him on our squad. Let's forget about Billy Cundiff because he can tackle. Because he can save what the Niners have never given up this year, which is a kickoff return touchdown. Now, the Falcons at 4-0, they were in desperation mode with under a minute to go. The situation here trailing by a point with 50 seconds to go. Things worked out in Atlanta's favor, and if I was calling that play with the Roddy White catch down the sideline, here's just a little bit of what it would have sounded like.
Bad one, first down, play action. Steps up, gonna sail it. White's out there, and Roddy makes the at the 40-yard line. Holy
That's all I have for you guys, pretty much. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please stick with the show. It's the show of the National Sports Station. As you can follow us here on Spreaker.com. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to my show. I hope that your 2012 year has been spectacular. Go National Sports, everybody.
Yeah, I still believe in David Akers, everybody. Can I just go out on a limb just so Nick Rice can hear this? If Nick Rice is listening, or if he ever does listen to this, I just want to say David Akers is going to go to the Pro Bowl this year. The next upcoming season, he will be going to the Pro Bowl with the Detroit Lions. And David Akers, I'm still on your bandwagon. I know this has nothing to do with the NBA, but the Niners did give up a touchdown in the Super Bowl to the Ravens. Kickoff return by Jacoby Jones. They needed David Akers there to tackle. I don't know what you're talking about, Nick. So, Nick Rice, no more talking smack about David Akers, because David Akers will be going to the Pro Bowl this year. I'm going to make sure Nick Rice listens to this. I hope he does. But on that note, thank you for listening. Thank you for just being a great audience overall. These great shows and more great shows coming up. Really appreciated Chris Herring, Wall Street Journal. You gotta read his work. His work is incredible. So Chris Herring joined the program. You can follow him on Twitter at HerringWSJ. He has a lot of input. You can follow me on Twitter at SM_Cameron. And for all of that, from Chris, from me, from everyone here at National Sports, thank you, and like always, hasta luego.